The rain started while Aaron Cole was still at his desk. Not hard rain, not storm rain, just that steady, patient drizzle that doesn't ask permission. The kind that makes the city feel smaller, quieter, like it's pulling a blanket over its head and hoping no one notices it's still breathing. Aaron checked the time on his computer screen and swore under his breath. 12:41 a.m. The office was empty now. Everyone else had left hours ago, chasing dinner, sleep, normal lives. Aaron shut down his system, slid his laptop into his bag, and took one last look around the floor. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting everything in a pale, sickly glow that made the cubicles look like abandoned hospital rooms. He didn't like leaving this late, never had. There was something about the city after midnight that felt unfinished, like a sentence cut off before the period. Outside, the rain had soaked the pavement into a mirror. Streetlights stretched long yellow reflections across the road, wobbling with every passing drop. The air smelled like wet concrete and rust. The bus stop sat under a flickering lamp at the corner of Maple and 3rd. Aaron stepped beneath the shelter, shaking water from his jacket, and checked his phone again. 12:53 a.m. The last bus came at 1. Always did. He'd ridden it dozens of times before. Same route, same stops, same tired driver with the baseball cap pulled low over his eyes. That routine was the only reason he stayed calm. Still, as the minutes crawled by, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The street was too empty. No cars, no footsteps, no distant sirens. Even the rain seemed muted, like it was falling somewhere else. At 12:59, the streetlight flickered twice and went dim. Then the bus arrived. It didn't approach from either direction. One moment the road was empty, the next it was there, parked at the curb, engine idling softly, doors closed. Aaron frowned. He was sure he would have heard it. He stepped forward and knocked on the door. The doors folded open with a slow hiss, releasing a breath of cold air that smelled faintly of metal and damp fabric. The driver sat hunched over the wheel. Old, gray hair visible beneath the cap. His uniform looked darker than it should have been, soaked through like he'd been driving in rain for years without stopping. "Evening," Aaron said. The driver didn't respond. Aaron hesitated, then dropped his fare into the slot and moved down the aisle. The bus was empty. Every seat, front to back, empty. That should have felt reassuring. Instead, it made his skin prickle. A bus this late, on this route, was usually at least half full. Night shift workers, college kids, drunks trying to get home without calling someone they shouldn't. He chose a seat halfway down on the right side, set his bag at his feet, and stared out the window. The bus pulled away smoothly. Rain streaked across the glass, turning the city into a smear of lights and shadows. Aaron let his head rest against the window, eyelids heavy. Just a few stops, he told himself. Then home. The engine's hum was steady, almost hypnotic. He must have dozed off. He opened his eyes when the bus jolted slightly, like it had gone over a bump. The aisle was full. People sat where there had been nothing before. Shoulder to shoulder, wet clothes, damp hair, pale faces lit yellow by the overhead lights. Aaron sucked in a sharp breath. No one spoke. No phones. No chatter, just quiet breathing and the low hum of the engine. He looked toward the front. The driver hadn't changed position. Still hunched, still silent. Aaron leaned closer to the window. His reflection stared back at him, eyes wide, skin washed out. Get a grip, he thought. You fell asleep. People got on. But he knew that wasn't true. He would have felt the bus stop, would have heard the doors, would have noticed something. The woman across the aisle slowly turned her head toward him. Her eyes were unfocused, like she was looking through him instead of at him. A thin line of water ran from her hairline down her cheek, dripping onto her collarbone. Aaron looked away. The bus took a turn he didn't recognize. He checked the route map above the windows. The letters flickered, half-formed, rearranging themselves too slowly to read. A man sat 2 seats ahead, reading a newspaper. The pages were yellowed, edges curled, headlines blurred like they'd been printed underwater. Aaron watched him lower the paper. For a split second, the man's face was wrong. Skin torn, blood smeared across his mouth and chin. One eye swollen shut, the other hanging too low in its socket. Aaron gasped. The man blinked, and his face was normal again, middle-aged, clean-shaven, calm. "Why are you staring?" the man asked, voice mild. Aaron swallowed. Sorry, thought I recognized you." The man smiled thinly. "Long night?" "Yeah." The man folded the newspaper carefully. "Strange things happen on this bus after midnight," he said, almost conversationally. Aaron laughed nervously. "Guess I noticed." "You shouldn't stay on it too long," the man added. Before Aaron could respond, the bus lights flickered. When they steadied, the seats were empty again. Every single one. Aaron shot to his feet. "What the hell?" A voice spoke beside him. "You see it now?" Aaron turned. An old man sat in the seat next to his. He hadn't been there a second ago. His coat was soaked, hanging off his thin frame, water pooling at his feet. "I've been riding this bus for 30 years, the old man said quietly. "Not by choice." Aaron backed away. "Who are you?" The old man smiled sadly. "Someone who didn't get off in time." The bus slowed. Outside, there were no buildings, just darkness and trees pressing close to the road. "I once saw a man on this bus," the old man continued. "No face, just smooth skin where it should have been. He vanished between stops, like he'd never existed." Aaron shook his head. "This is a dream. I fell asleep." "I thought that too," the old man said. "For a long time." The bus stopped. Aaron didn't wait. He bolted for the doors as they opened. Cold air rushed in. He jumped down onto the wet road. The bus rolled forward a few feet, then stopped again. Aaron turned, and his blood ran cold. The bus was wrong. Paint peeled, metal blackened, windows cracked and fogged from the inside. Shapes pressed against the glass, faces, hands, mouths opening and closing without sound. Inside, he saw the old man, he saw the newspaper reader. They stared back at him, watching. The doors hissed shut. The bus pulled away, engine screaming like it was in pain. Aaron stood alone in the rain, heart hammering, until the road faded into darkness. He never took the last bus again, but sometimes, when it rains after midnight, he hears the engine outside his window, idling, waiting, and somewhere inside, someone is still reading the paper.